Becky attended her high school reunion last weekend.
Hello.
All of her friends seemed to be doing really well in life. Connor showed up wearing clothes from expensive brands.
Hello.
Matilda had not just one, but two of the latest smartphones.
Oh.
Tom showed up in a fancy sports car, and Beth was wearing a luxurious watch on her wrist. Take a good look at Becky's friends. Can you tell who is really rich? Well, let's see. If you look closely, Connor didn't take off the tags from his clothes. This probably means that he's planning on returning them after the reunion.
Yeah.
Matilda's phones are fake. Look at the label. It's just a copy of the original brand.
Ah.
And Beth's watch is way bigger than her wrist, which means that the watch is not really hers. So, Tom is probably the richest person at the reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Amy's favorite band is in town, and she really wants to go to their concert. She asks her stepmother if she can go, but she says she will only allow Amy to go if she does a series of things for her.
Oh.
The first thing the stepmother asks is for Amy to bring her some water in a colander. To get this right, Amy needs to think outside the box.
Okay.
Can you help Amy figure out how she can do that? Amy needs to freeze some water and put the cubes in the colander.
Yeah.
Technically, frozen water is still water, right? Next, her stepmother asks Amy to pick out the perfect evening dress for her. Amy walks into her stepmother's closet, and there are 3 dresses: a red, a green, and a blue. Take a look at the picture. Which dress should Amy choose? If you look closely, the button on the blue dress is about to come off. The green dress has a big paint stain on it, so Amy should pick the red dress.
Yes.
Before Amy can take the dress to her stepmother, the woman enters the room. She sees the stain on the dress and starts to shout at Amy, "How could you do this to my dress?" But Amy says she didn't do anything wrong, and that the paint was already there when she walked into the closet.
Yes.
The stepmother asks Amy to find the culprit.
Oh.
If she could figure out who had stained her dress, then Amy could go to the concert.
Okay.
The 3 main suspects are Amy's stepsisters, Ella, Bella, and Gabriella.
What?
They don't like Amy, so it's likely that one of them splashed paint on their mother's dress in order to frame her. When the stepsisters are out of the house, Amy sneaks into their bedroom to try to find the culprit. Take a look at the room. The first bed belongs to Ella, the second belongs to Bella, and the third bed belongs to Gabriella. Can you tell who did it? It was Gabriella. Her bed is the third one on the left. And if you look closely, it has a bucket of paint under it. Emily and Barbara are getting ready for a girls' night out.
Yes.
They are putting on makeup and getting their hair done. They have pretty similar tastes, and their things look pretty much the same. But one of them has more money than the other.
Oh.
Looking at the image, can you tell which one has the more expensive stuff? Take a look at Barbara. Her dress kind of gives it away since it's obviously a knockoff. So Emily is the one with the more expensive stuff. Harry decided to backpack around the world on his own.
Yeah.
On the plane, he sat next to a girl. He asked her where she was from.
Yes.
But instead of answering, she showed him 2 emojis on her cell phone.
Oh.
Take a look at the image. Can you tell which country the girl is from? Let's see. That's an iron and a piece of land. I guess she's from Ireland? As soon as Harry landed in Paris, he went strolling along the streets to find a place to stay. He found a cute little hotel and decided to go inside. Big mistake. Why? Take a look at the window on the last floor. It looks like there's a ghost. Yikes. I'd look for another place to stay if I were him. After he found a better hotel to stay in, he decided to get lunch. He ordered the classic French onion soup.
Yeah.
But when his dish came, it was filled with cockroaches. He called the restaurant's manager to tell them about the incident. The manager said, "This is unacceptable. I will find the person who did this and fire them immediately." There were 3 suspects. The cook said that he had prepared the soup as usual. It was okay when he passed it to the waiter. The waiter said that he hadn't touched the soup. He just served it to Harry and hurried to take the order from another table. The manager also questioned the cleaner, who said that he had spent the last hours cleaning the bathroom and had no idea what the fuss was about. Can you tell who is guilty? No one. Look at the ventilation system. It's full of roaches. They must have crawled out of it and fallen into Harry's soup. Yikes. There are 3 passengers in the business class of an international flight that is headed towards Rome. Take a look at these 3 people. The first lady looks pretty well dressed. She's wearing a luxurious designer handbag and is texting on her expensive phone.
Hello.
The guy in the middle is working with stock charts on his laptop, and the third guy is enjoying a cup of coffee while reading an article in the Financial Times. Can you tell which one is the real billionaire? Let's see. The woman may look well dressed, but if you see the tag on her clothes, it says 100% polyester. It's unlikely that a billionaire would wear something like this. The guy working with stock charts is wearing old, ripped shoes. I doubt that's a fashion choice, so he's probably not a billionaire. Oh. That leaves us the last guy. If you look closely, the article he is reading is about him. The title of the article is The World's Newest Billionaire. Oh, yeah. I guess we found our guy, huh? Detective Smith was called to investigate a burglary at the city's museum. Oh. A priceless diamond disappeared, and the thief left no trace behind. After analyzing the museum's security cameras, Detective Smith gathered 3 suspects: the security guard, the museum's curator, and a visitor. The security guard said he only left his post during lunchtime, and he could swear that the diamond still wasn't missing at that time. The museum curator spent the day guiding a tour of the museum for a foreign group. They came to see the diamond at the beginning of the tour, and it was still shining bright in its place. The visitor said he only popped in for a quick visit and didn't even pass through the Metzi aisle where the diamond was kept. After these 3 interviews, Detective Smith found the thief. Can you tell who it was? It was the visitor. First of all, he knew the exact location of the diamond inside the museum. Plus, take a look at that string he's fiddling with in his left hand. Detective Smith pulled it from under his sleeve and voila, the diamond was attached to it. I guess he didn't have time to go home and get rid of the diamond, huh? Julie and her friends decided to spend the weekend at a cabin in the woods. They arrived on Friday evening and spent the night playing board games and telling spooky stories. When they woke up on Saturday morning, they found that someone had stolen all their food supply. The door's glass was shattered, but other than that, there were no signs of who could have done it. So the group decided to search the surrounding woods to see if they could find the culprit. Take a good look at the scene the group stumbled upon and see if you can find out who took their food. What's that at the left corner? Those look like bear footprints, huh? And not just one, but rather an entire family of bears. Oh, and they even left an Oreo wrapper on the ground as evidence. Yep, these grizzlies were the culprits for sure. Atlas woke up in the attic of an abandoned house. He tried to find a way out of the house, but all he could find was a room with 3 doors. Each door hid a different danger. The windows and floor behind the first door were made entirely of magnifying glass, which meant that the sunlight would probably burn him if he entered. The second door hid a room full of poisonous gas, and behind the third door was a hungry lion. What should Atlas do to escape? He should wait until it's nighttime and use the first door. Sydney told her mom that her gymnastics team would go to a sports camp for the weekend. She asked her mom to help her pack a bag for the trip. Her mother packed everything she thought her daughter would need. When Sydney came back from the weekend, she was telling her mother all about the trip. But somewhere during the conversation, she asked her mother why she hadn't packed a toothbrush. The mother immediately knew Sydney was lying about where she had really been that weekend. How? Because Sydney's mother did pack a toothbrush. but she put it under Sydney's gymnastics clothes. If Sydney had really gone camping, she would have used the clothes and found the toothbrush. Kimberly discovered 3 bags in an old attic along with a note. The note said that there were $1 million inside one of the bags. It also said that the 2 other bags were empty. She only had one chance to figure out which bag had the cash, and she could trust that one of the messages written on the bags was true. On the first bag, it said, "The cash is not here." On the second bag, it was written, "The cash is not here." The last bag read, "The cash is in the second bag." If you were Kimberly, which bag would you choose? You should choose the first bag. If only one of the clues is true, then the money is in the first bag. The police have been after Mr. Burke for many years, trying to prove he's involved in illicit activities, but they never managed to catch him. One day, Detective Lawrence decided to make a surprise visit to Mr. Burke's office. As soon as the detective arrived, Mr. Burke's secretary said he was away on a business trip. The detective asked to see Mr. Burke's office and took a picture of it, but he wasn't allowed to touch anything without a warrant. So, Detective Lawrence went back to the station and got a warrant. When he returned to Mr. Burke's office, he noticed someone had been in there. Take a look at both pictures and try to find out what Detective Lawrence saw. The desk lamp is tilted and the books are in different places. Someone definitely was in that room. Detective Lawrence decided to search Mr. Burke's entire office. In one room, he found there were footprints up until the middle of the room, and then they disappeared. The only window of the room was open. "Oh no!" Detective Lawrence shouted. "I can't believe he escaped again." He took a picture of the room and took it to the police station. At the station, he showed the picture to the other detectives, and one of them said he had cracked the case. Take a look at the picture. How did the detective solve the case? The detective understood that Mr. Burke was a shapeshifter. This explains why the footprints didn't reach the window. Plus, look at all the bird food on the floor. He probably shapeshifted into a bird and escaped.
Helen and Dylan go to the movies. Can you spot anything odd in this place? There's a spider hiding in this guy's popcorn. This lady has a working camera, which is not allowed in the movies. The seats are numbered in a random order in this row, and there's a monster hiding behind the seats. Can you spot a criminal among these 2 truck drivers? The second guy is just shipping tomatoes, but someone scrawled the word "help" on the window of the first truck. Therefore, the first driver is the criminal. Can you guess which driver is more dangerous? The second one. Who uses such weird decor for his car? Breaking news! Someone stole exclusive diamond shoes from the local museum. Many people visited the exhibition that day, but the criminal had left no clue. The police arrive at the crime scene. Detective Smith checks the camera records and spots the thief right away. What about you? Something about this lady is very suspicious. Her height increases in the second footage. This probably means that she's wearing the stolen diamond shoes. Kelly throws a pajama party, but one of her guests is a criminal. Can you guess who? This lady is a thief. She hid the stolen items inside a pillow. Let's check how eagle-eyed you are. Can you spot 3 differences between these 2 pictures? Here they are.
Yes!
What about these pictures? Are they identical? Nope, there are 3 differences. Can you see 3 differences here? Here they are. Great job!
Yes!
Philip runs a publishing house. One day, he gets an anonymous message. His best illustrator, Victor, has a secret relationship with one of his female co-workers. Only 4 ladies work in Philip's farm. Sheila is an SMM manager. She has just returned from the Maldives. It was her honeymoon. Bella is a content manager. She's very shy and lives with 5 dogs. Lily is a part-time writer. She's single and parties all the time. And Kelly is an office manager. She's very ambitious and writes her own book in her spare time. Can you guess Victor's secret crush? Bella! Philip has white dog hair on his jacket, just like Bella. Crystal is a doctor. She arrives at a medical conference and takes several pictures with her colleagues before the event. In an hour, the local janitor finds Crystal unconscious in the storage room. Later, Crystal gets better and tells the police, "I was walking to the toilet. The last thing I remember was someone pushing me from behind. I don't know who did it." Police questioned all the doctors. Everyone claims that they were listening to the report when the attack took place. Officers examine the pictures before the conference and immediately identify the criminal. What about you? Crystal tried to protect herself and tore the string on the criminal's neck.
Oh my god.
So it was this guy with a broken badge. Harold is the richest man in town. This evening, he lost his memory because of a car accident. His only family is his daughter. When Harold wakes up in a hospital, 2 ladies claim to be his daughters. One of them is lying. Can you help Harold identify the real one? There's a photo frame near Harold's bed with a picture of him with his daughter. She has a mole on her cheek, and this lady too. So she's the real daughter. Peter gets lost in a haunted house and finds 3 doors. He needs to choose one of them to escape. There's a cute family of polar bears behind the first door. A couple of hungry, angry wolves are waiting behind the second door, and they haven't been eating for 7 years. And there are hundreds of venomous snakes behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? The second one. Wolves can't survive without food for so long, so they're not a threat anymore. Mary is heading back home from work through a forest road. Somewhere along the way, she gets lost. She comes across 3 caves. Mary needs to choose one of them to go ahead. There are venomous scorpions inside the first cave. They can't wait to bite Mary. Inside the second cave, there's a tiger that will eat her alive. And inside the third cave, there are man-eating bats. Which cave is more or less safe? If you noticed, the sun is still up. It's daytime and bats are sleeping, so the third cave is the safest option for Mary. Detective Smith gets a task to investigate a robbery. He questions a witness who saw the thief escaping. He says, "In my car's mirror, I saw a masked man driving away in panic, but I wrote down the number of his car." Detective Smith takes the note with the number. Police find 4 cars with similar number plates. Detective Smith carefully examines all 4 cars and figures out which one of them belongs to the robber. How? Since the witness looked at the car number through his mirror, the image was reflected. It means that this was the original car number. Amy lives with her 3 sisters. She's a professional violinist. Her sister always complains that she loves music more than her own family. One day, Amy leaves for the gym, and when she returns home in the evening, she discovers that all her super expensive violins are broken.
Oh god.
She immediately calls the police. Detective Smith arrives and interrogates everyone. Amy's elder sister, Sarah, says, I was sleeping the whole time. I don't know anything. Detective Smith asks her what the other sisters were doing at the time. They were both reading books and eating dinner in the living room. Only the younger sister was having fun at a party downtown. Detective Smith immediately realizes who broke the violins. What about you? If Sarah was sleeping, how did she know who was doing what? This implies that she's hiding something. A woman in tears enters Detective Smith's office and asks for his help. She explains, I was walking down the road when a man approached me from behind, snatched my phone from my hand, and ran away. But Detective Smith suspects 3 people and invites all of them, but everyone says that they didn't steal the lady's phone. Detective Smith checks their phones and immediately understands who did it. Can you guess who snatched the phone? Take a look at the wallpapers. This is the lady's dog, so the first guy stole her phone.
Oh no.
After a particularly large snowfall, Chuck walks outdoors. He discovers a weird thing. He has half as much snow in his yard as his neighbors, but it seems like Chuck is not surprised at all. Can you guess why? Simple. Chuck's yard is half the size of his neighbor's. Vicky is filming a video blog about this haunted house. Suddenly, she freaks out because this place is full of frogs. How many frogs can you see in this picture? The correct answer is 11. Vicky runs away to the basement and sees a creepy collection of clown masks. How many masks can you spot? This one is not a mask, it's a portrait. Philip is walking down the street. Suddenly, a woman approaches him from behind and sneaks his wallet. She runs away and hides in one of the houses. Philip follows her. The owner of the house is inside. Philip asks him, Has anyone visited you today? The owner replies, Nope, neither have I left the house. I live here alone and work from home. After hearing the owner's words, Philip knows for sure that this guy is a liar. How come? There are 3 cups of hot tea at the table and female sandals standing near the door. So he's probably an accomplice of the thief. Hey Sherlocks, I really need your help here. So take out your magnifying glasses and join me on this detective chase. Look at this image. What's wrong here? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they're using a tiny football. Now how about these people? One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. This looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with a USB port in his arm. A sailor has a piece of fabric that is 16 feet long. He cuts 2 feet of this fabric per day. How many days will he need to cut the whole cloth? Your first answer might have been 8 days, but in fact, the sailor will only need 7 days. The last remaining piece of fabric will be 2 feet long, and the sailor won't need to cut it. Adam's car has broken down right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing? It's winter. Snowdrifts are huge, and the wind is freezing cold. Adam has to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he follows the first path, he'll have to deal with hungry wolves. The second one goes through an area inhabited by bears. And if he takes the third road, he'll have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which is the safest way? Adam should sneak through the bear's territory. These animals sleep in winter. Look at this picture. Which cage, in your opinion, is the safest? It's the last one. Even though a scorpion sting is painful, it's rarely life-threatening. The next tricky brain teaser for you. Can you figure out who has stolen her computer? It's definitely the girl on the right. Look at the strange shape her hoodie has taken. One of these girls is a wanted criminal. But which one? It's the one with dark hair. She has the same mole as the girl in the photo. Now there is something terribly wrong in this image. Can you figure out what it is? Look at that snowdrift near the cactus on the right. It's a desert. What is a snowdrift doing there? Look at these people and try to figure out who will divorce soon. Most likely, it will be the couple on the right. Have you noticed that the woman has secretly given a note with her phone number to the bartender? After a natural disaster, there was a blackout in Sam's town. Some criminals used darkness to kidnap the guy for ransom. The building where he was kept had 3 doors. Sam could use one of them to escape. But the first door hid a trap that would crush anyone as soon as they entered. Behind the second door, there were chainsaws that could cut anything into pieces in no time. The flesh-eating acid was bubbling behind the third door. Which door should Sam choose? Chainsaws can't harm the guy because there's no electricity in the town, remember? Liza was a millionaire's daughter. She was fed up with her father trying to control her life, so she decided to run away from home. She took some money and the most discreet car she could find in the garage and left. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back. That's why she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. One day, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said her room number was 710 and offered to show her where it was. Liza immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in the car, and sped away. Why? The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 710 is supposed to be on the 7th floor. But the hotel has only 2 floors. This must be a trap. A tourist who didn't speak English came up to the ticket counter at a New York subway station. One ticket cost 50 cents, and the man handed the ticketing clerk $1. The woman gave the tourist 2 tickets without even asking how many he needed. How did she know? The tourist gave her 4 quarters, and she immediately realized that if he needed just 1 ticket, he would have just given her 2 quarters. Ice melts when you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. Can you figure out what I am? I'm an egg. I'm weightless, but you can see me. And if you put me in a water bottle, it will become much lighter. What am I? Right you are. I'm a hole. After having had a fight with a powerful wizard, Louisa found herself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. She couldn't escape. Jumping out of the window was out of the question because it was too high above the ground. And the only tree growing next to that window wasn't sturdy enough for the girl to use it to climb down. At the same time, in the room where Louisa was locked, there were 3 doors. One of them could lead the girl to freedom, but behind the first door, a fire was raging. The second door held back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there was a maze filled with animal traps. Which door should Louisa choose to escape? Louisa should break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and then going through the maze. It won't be dark anymore, and the girl will easily avoid the traps. Now, your task is to crack a few rebus puzzles. Be very attentive and try to think outside the box. What does this mean? Right, that's Big Sister. How about this rebus puzzle? The correct answer is right between the eyes. Look at this one. That's good afternoon. What can you fill if your hands are empty? Well, this is confusing. How can I fill anything if there's nothing in my hands? You'll probably be able to figure it out. And the correct answer is gloves, or mittens if that's what you prefer. Mr. Wilson's company had some financial problems. One day, the man called the police. He said someone had broken into his office.
They stole my safe with all the money I had.
The police officers who came to investigate this case asked the man why he was so sure that there had been several thieves.
Well, my safe was too heavy for one person to carry.
The police instantly realized Mr. Wilson was lying. How? If the safe had been indeed so heavy, it would have left some dents on the carpet, but the floor covering is perfectly smooth. Detective Martin was choosing a diamond ring for his fiancée when a man in a black mask ran into the jewelry store. He made all the visitors lie on the floor and took the most expensive jewelry and money. After that, Detective Martin saw the man get on a red motorbike and speed away. The detective jumped into his car and set off on a chase. Soon, he came to a crossroads. Where should he go now? Suddenly, Martin saw a car coming from the opposite direction. He asked the driver if he'd seen the red bike.
No, I've only seen a silver convertible.
Then, the detective saw a gray car approach from the left. The woman inside said she hadn't seen the red bike, but she had seen a yellow bike and a group of cyclists. And the man who appeared from the right told Detective Martin he'd only noticed a large blue truck. Where is the robber?
Yeah.
The motorbike can only be inside the blue truck. I've heard you've got some impressive analytical skills and a sharp mind. Then you're just the person I need. Help me solve these tricky riddles and prove you're worthy of that detective title. A Japanese ship had left the port and was on its way to the open sea. The captain went to apply oil to some parts of the vessel and took his wedding ring off so it wouldn't get damaged. He left it on the table in his cabin. When he returned, the ring was gone. The man figured out that 3 crew members could be guilty, so he asked each of them what they had been doing for the past 10 minutes. The cook said, "I was in the kitchen preparing tonight's dinner." The engineer answered, "I was working in the engine room making sure everything was running smoothly." And the seaman said, "I was on the mast correcting the flag because someone had hung it upside down by mistake." The captain immediately knew who the thief was. How did he understand it? It was clearly the seaman. It was a Japanese ship, and the Japanese flag is white with a single red dot in the middle. It can't be hung upside down. Cheryl was reading a book, but she was careless and accidentally tore out pages 7, 8, 100, 101, 133, and 334. How many pages will she have to fix? Just 4. 7 and 8, as well as 333 and 334, are just different sides of one page. A folder with extremely important documents disappeared from Detective Brown's office. At the time of the theft, there were only 4 other people in the office: Bill, Tom, Harry, and Mike. Brown interrogated them, and they gave the following statements. Bill said, "Tom did it." Tom denied this claim. Bill did it. Harry said, "Tom's telling the truth." And Mike confirmed, "Harry's not lying." After analyzing these statements, Detective Brown found out that only one person was telling the truth, and the rest were lying. Can you determine the thief? Tom is the thief, and Bill tells the truth. If Bill was the thief, both Tom and Harry would be telling the truth. If Harry was the criminal, none of the statements would be true. And if Mike was the thief, none of the statements would be true either. Your friends complain that every day they have an egg spinning competition with only raw eggs, and every day one particular boy wins. Your friends ask you to find out how he manages to do it. You start observing the boy spinning an egg when suddenly it drops to the floor. The boy goes and takes a broom to clean it up, as if it happens every day. You immediately understand why the boy always wins the daily competition. What's his secret? The boy took a broom, so the egg he had been spinning must have been hard-boiled. If the egg had been raw, he would have taken a mop. A man was discovered unconscious at his desk, alone in the locked office. He was rushed to a hospital, and the police started investigating this case. The only clue was a sealed envelope on the man's desk. Have you figured out what happened? The envelope glue contained poison, and when the man licked the envelope to seal it, he got poisoned. A renowned chemist disappeared right from his lab. There was no evidence except a piece of paper lying on his desk. The names of 5 elements were scrawled across it hastily: nickel, carbon, oxygen, lanthanum, and sulfur. The guards reported that 3 people had visited the chemist that day: his sister Laura, his colleague Nicholas, and his wife Tessa. The criminal was arrested immediately. Who was it? The list of chemicals is a clue. Their abbreviations spell out the name Nicholas. Look at these ladies attentively. Can you figure out who's not pregnant? It's the one wearing a green dress. This person has big feet and is wearing a wig. It's actually a man trying to steal a watermelon. That's why he dressed up as a pregnant woman. Each of these 3 women claims she is this boy's mother. But who is the real mom? The real mother is wearing clothes in the same colors as her son's outfit. What a cute family look! Plus, the boy is facing her. Someone stole the principal's money. When the police came to investigate, they questioned the most likely suspects. The PE teacher said he'd had a break. The history teacher was having a lesson, and the music teacher said that she felt unwell and had gone home early. Can you figure out who the thief is? The music teacher is the thief. Look, she has gloves in her bag, although it's summer. Suspicious. Look at these 3 men and a girl. The first man says, "I got so scared, I called the school, but they didn't know where my daughter was." The second man says, "We were walking the dog in the park. I turned my back just for a minute, and she was gone." And the third man says, "I have no idea why she ran away. Here, I bought you a new phone." Which man is the real father? The second man is the father. The girl is too young to attend school or have a phone of her own. Someone stole important documents from a businessman's office when the power went out. When the man discovered this unpleasant news, he called his friend, a private detective. The detective arrived and questioned everyone who had been in the office during the crime. The first person said, "I left the office to get some coffee and donuts." The second employee claimed that it had been dark and she'd taken a nap. And the third worker said, "I went to the kitchen to get a latte from our new coffee machine." Who's the thief? The third person's a liar. He wouldn't have been able to use a coffee machine without electricity. The man had lost his memory, and while each of these 3 women claim she's his wife, he can't figure out who's telling the truth. Can you help him? The man and his real wife have matching rings. Look at these 3 bridesmaids. One of them is up to no good. She has spoiled the bride's dress. Can you figure out which one it was? The bridesmaid who had ripped the dress must be left-handed because all the rips were made with a left hand. Pay attention to their placement and direction. And this is the only left-handed maid. She's writing down some notes using her left hand. At 9 a.m., Ethan got a call from his friend, an owner of a large business. The man said that a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on his desk the evening before, but now it was nowhere to be found. Ethan immediately came there to question his friend's employees. Soon he had 3 suspects. Walter said he had spent the previous evening at the movies. Joan had dinner with her friends, and Zachary visited an art gallery. It didn't take Ethan long to understand who is lying. Have you figured it out too? It was Walter. His ticket isn't torn. It means he didn't enter the movie theater. Olivia called the police. She told them someone had broken into her house, tied her up, and taken all her money and valuables. When the officers arrived, the entrance door was open. And Olivia was indeed tied to a chair, and still, the detectives didn't believe her story. Why? If the girl was tied, how did she manage to call the police? You take it and throw away its outside. Then you cook the inside. Then you eat the outside and throw away the inside. What is it? You've just eaten a corn cob. How about a refreshing brain workout? If you're ready, let's start. A man walked into a room and saw 3 doors. The first one had a sign which read, "To the swamps." On the second door, there was a note, "Lion's Den." The third door didn't have any sign, but the man knew for sure where it led. How? It was the door he had entered through. You return from your lunch break and discover that someone has stolen $50 from your bag. There are 4 suspects: Mila, Henry, Jackson, and Victoria. When you ask them about the money, Mila replies she hasn't taken it. Henry says he's pretty sure Jackson's got the money. Jackson shouts, "No way! Henry's lying!" And Victoria claims Mila's telling the truth. Only one of these people isn't lying. Who's taken your money? It's Mila. She, Henry, and Victoria are lying, while Jackson's telling the truth. If anyone else had taken your $50, there would be more than one person telling the truth. Several sparrows landed on trees. One bird for one tree. But in this case, one of them didn't have a tree of its own. Then they regrouped, with 2 sparrows sitting on one tree. After this, one tree was left birdless. How many birds and trees were there? There were 4 sparrows and 3 trees. 3 famous detectives came to a cafe to discuss a tricky case. A waiter came up to them and asked, "Does everyone want coffee?" The first detective said, "I don't know." The second detective answered, "I don't know." And the third detective said, "Yeah." Why did he say no? All the detectives wanted to have coffee, but the first 2 couldn't know if it could be everyone's choice. If the first 2 detectives hadn't wanted coffee, they'd simply have said no. So when the third detective heard the replies of his colleagues, he figured out that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was also going to have a cup, he said yes. Look at this picture and try to figure out who is an alien in disguise. It's the guy in a yellow shirt. He's eating a banana, but he hasn't peeled it before biting into it. He probably sees this fruit for the first time. You have an equation made of matchsticks. 6 plus 4 equals 4. Move just one matchstick to make it true. You need to take one matchstick from the plus sign and add it to 6 so that it makes 8. Then you'll have 8 minus 4 equals 4. Look at this picture. All these people seem to be very close, but who is the girl's husband? It's the guy on the right. He's the only one to have a wedding band on his finger. The next riddle to check how attentive you are. Who is her husband? It's the guy on the left. Look, here's his photo in the car. He's actually the owner of this vehicle. Can you figure out what's wrong here? These guys seem to be wearing smartwatches. Hey, detective, your next task is to understand where the criminal is hiding. Make sure to pay attention to every detail. The criminal is in House A. The car next to his house is parked in a way that makes it easier for the criminal to drive away as fast as possible. Can you figure out which of these people is in the greatest danger? It's this guy. This large icicle is about to fall right on his head. Is the person in the yellow car driving right or wrong? It's a wrong and very dangerous way of driving. The car is moving very slowly, and to overtake it, the next driver will have to maneuver from the leftmost lane to the right one. It can easily cause an accident. How can you get from 98 to 720 by just adding one letter? Add the letter X between 90 and 8. You'll get 90 times 8 equals 720. A wealthy businessman was traveling by a high-speed train. He had a suitcase full of cash on him. The train was moving through a mountainous area with numerous tunnels. After the train left one of the tunnels, the businessman noticed that his suitcase was missing. There were only 4 other passengers in the train car. Matthew said he had broken up with his girlfriend and didn't care about anything happening around. Joseph said that he'd bought his favorite author's novel at the station and had been engrossed in reading. Zoe said that she hadn't seen anything. Her eyes had been tearing, irritated by the smoke coming from the train. And Ellie claimed she had been napping with her sleeping mask on. So, can you figure out who took the businessman's suitcase? It was Zoe. Modern high-speed trains are electric and don't produce smoke. You've got a bag filled with oranges. You need to use these oranges to fill up 2 other bags of the same size. How can you do it? Put one empty bag into the other and fill them with oranges. Detective Marcus and another passerby became witnesses of a car accident. A man hit by a minivan was lying on the ground, unconscious. Marcus rushed to the nearest cafe to call an ambulance. When he got back, the passerby told him the man had turned onto his back, but hadn't come to his senses. After looking at the scene for a couple of seconds, the detective said, "You better return everything you've taken from this man." Why did he say so? When they saw the man at first, only one button was buttoned on his suit jacket, but now it's already 2 buttons. The passerby must have opened his jacket to look for the wallet and then buttoned it up incorrectly. Now, imagine you're lost in a forest on a freezing cold winter night. You realize that you have nothing to warm you up. There are 3 options: to stay where you are and call for help, to keep walking until you get out of the forest, and to go on, but take small breaks, sit on the snow, and cover yourself with some branches. What should you choose? If you stay in one place, you'll freeze in no time. Sitting on the snow during short breaks isn't a great idea either. Branches won't warm you up, and you may accidentally fall asleep and never wake up again. The only way to survive is to keep walking. Sarah invited her friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by Sarah's friend Sean. Sarah was worried that there might be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Sarah who the thief was. Have you figured it out too? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of his guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch is already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace is in that flower pot. See? Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office, but he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. Look at these people attentively. Who does this dog belong to? The dog's owner is the guy in the middle. He's the only one who isn't trying to pet the animal.
Now, Mary and John are an ordinary young couple. One day they decided to go out of town and spend some time in nature, so they jumped in the car. While they were driving, they suddenly saw 4 hitchhiking people at a gas station. But most of them looked pretty suspicious. There was a man in tattered clothes, a woman wearing a cape, a man with a sullen face, and a teenage girl. Who should they give the ride to? Look, the woman in a cape doesn't cast a shadow. She must be a vampire. The man with the sullen face has a vampire bite on his neck, so he's now a vampire too. The teenage girl has suspicious claws, so she must be a werewolf. Thus, the man in tattered clothes is the only one who doesn't seem to be dangerous. There's a huge crime spree happening in town. The police are swarmed, and they don't have enough officers to help everyone. The citizens need you. Buckle up and think fast. You have to catch all the criminals right away. Look at the screen and find all the suspicious people in town. There are only 2 of them, actually. First off, look at this lady. Why would she wear 3 wristwatches at the same time? These must be stolen. And since she has no bag or pockets, she had to put them all on her wrist. Next, there's this bearded man. Seems like he's got a lot of jewelry hidden in his beard. Oh, that's a weird construction. Paula and Jeremy have been married for 5 years already. They had a perfect relationship and everything was great. One day, Jeremy had to leave for a business trip for a week. However, he came back home unexpectedly 2 days later. Paula instantly realized that it wasn't Jeremy and called the police. Remember the real Jeremy who took off the wedding ring before he left for a business trip? The man who showed up 2 days later was wearing one. This is what made Paula suspicious. During an Arctic expedition, an explorer found an ice cave. He went in. Suddenly, the entrance got blocked by a small avalanche. Luckily, there were 3 other passages in the cave. But here's the catch. Each passage has a warning sign for the explorers. It says that the first passage leads to a group of Yeti, the second one leads to a huge group of mammoths, and the third one leads to hungry bears. Which passage should our explorer choose? Those warning signs must be a bit outdated. Mammoths went extinct long ago, so passage 2 must be the safest option. A young man woke up in a hospital without remembering anything, including his own name. Beside his bed, there were 3 men, each of them claiming to be this young man's brother. Suddenly, the young man had a couple of flashbacks from his childhood, and he clearly remembered that he only had one brother. Who is his real brother? The man on the right seems to be his brother. He's the only one who looks like the guy in the bed, plus they have matching tattoos on their arms. Martin's an undercover detective. He's on a mission right now, and he's pretending to be one of the staff members at a luxurious resort. His mission is to follow a dangerous criminal who's planning to steal a rare piece of art from a wealthy businessman. Martin has to report the situation to his partner Steve every day. They can't use phones to communicate, so they make codes using deck chairs and umbrellas. If the robbery isn't planned for today, there should be more deck chairs than umbrellas by the pool. If the robbery is planned for today, there should be more umbrellas. Today, Steve's flying in a helicopter over the pool to check the situation. Now, look at what you see and decide whether the robbery is planned for today or not. Yes, the robbery is planned for today. There are 5 umbrellas and only 4 deck chairs. Jessica has a twin sister, Allison. Their relationship is far from perfect, and Allison always plays mean tricks on Jessica. Today is the prom, and Jessica has 3 nice dresses to choose from: a green one, a blue one, and a pink one. But when she opened her wardrobe, she saw it was a terrible mess. That must have been another nasty prank from Allison. So, what dress should Jessica wear? She should wear the pink dress. A button on the blue dress is about to come off. Oops. And the green one was spoiled with paint by Allison. Alright, a couple of short riddles to give you a break. Ready? There's something all the people in this world do simultaneously. Disclaimer, it's not about breathing. So what is it? All the people are getting older simultaneously. Are they getting any wiser? Don't know about that. There's one thing that can fly with no wings and cry even without eyes. What is it? It's a cloud. What can you see with your eyes closed? It's a dream. Okay, enough with the easy short riddles. Let's go back to hardcore mode. Emily and Mary are putting on their makeup, getting ready to go out and have fun. They use pretty much the same things. Phones look similar, the same with lipsticks, clothes, and everything else. So, who's poor? Take a closer look at Emily. Her dress kind of gives her away, since it's an obvious knockoff. A green apple costs $1, a red one costs $2, and a blue one costs $3. What apples and how many of them did Frank buy, if we know he spent $3 and 2 bills only? Frank bought a green one and a red one. He gave a $1 bill for the green one and a $2 bill for the red one. Yeah, he could have grabbed the blue one and given the same 2 bills, but blue apples just don't exist. 3 Fen, also pronounced 3 friends, fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, a guy passing by painted mustaches on their faces. Once the men woke up, they started to laugh. But then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? Well, at first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. It meant that they had mustaches on their faces as well. Aunt Jean is a huge fan of cats. She lives in a one-story house. She has cat garden statues, a cat rug, cat wallpapers, cat cushions, and even on the fridge there are cat photos. Not to mention all 30 cats that live in her house. What painting is there upstairs? She lives in a one-story house, so there are no cat paintings upstairs. It's right next to the fridge. Anthony, the financial director of a big company, finally persuaded new partners to sign a super important agreement. He then put this document into a folder and left it on the table in his office. When he arrived at work the next morning, the folder was gone. John gathered all the employees who were in the office at that time and asked them if they had noticed anything weird. The cleaning lady said that she had been busy washing the floor and hadn't paid attention to anything around. The designer explained that he hadn't left his working place even once. What's more, being an artist, he didn't have any interest in agreement documents. The accountant admitted that he had entered John's office to have some documents signed, but once he noticed there was no one inside, he immediately left. So, who took the folder with the agreement? It was the designer. John never mentioned that the folder was gone. He just asked if they had noticed anything weird. How would he know that the missing folder had an agreement inside? Grounds for dismissal, I'd say.
A villain lured Detective Johnson into a trap. He told the detective that if he wanted to survive, he needed to crack a riddle. Then he put a jug of juice and an empty glass in front of him. There was nothing else on the table. Johnson needed to fill the glass to the brim, but after that, the jug had to contain the same amount of juice as it did at the beginning. Can you help the detective figure out how to do it? It's very simple. The detective should pour the drink into the glass and then place it inside the jug. An elderly lady was walking in the park when a stranger grabbed her bag and hurried away. The woman told the police the man was wearing a coat, a hat, and glasses. He also had a mustache. The police officers ran in the direction the lady showed them. Some distance away, they found the hat, coat, and glasses lying on the ground. They realized that the criminal could be hiding in the nearby cafe. Look at these 4 men. All of them are cafe visitors. You need to understand who took the bag from the elderly woman. It can't be the man in a hat or the one wearing a coat. The criminal also got rid of his glasses, so it can't be the man in the corner. It means that the man wanted by the police is the one on the right. He has a small wound on his upper lip. He must have gotten rid of his fake mustache in a hurry. Builders were mixing sand, gravel, and cement for the foundation of a house. Suddenly, one of the workers noticed a small bird hopping along the top of the foundation wall. At one point, the bird misjudged the distance and fell down one of the holes between the blocks. No one could reach it since the bird was too far down. The hole was also too small for it to fly out of. Someone suggested using 2 sticks to try to pull the bird out, but this idea was rejected because it could easily injure the fragile bird. What would be the easiest way to get the bird out of the hole without hurting it? Since the workers have plenty of sand at hand, they can pour a little at a time into the hole. The bird would constantly keep shifting its position and get closer to the surface along with the rising sand. Now this riddle will require some thinking and analytical skills. You might even need to get a pen and a slip of paper. Listen attentively. 2 criminals were caught stealing. Detective Brightbrain suspects that the criminals are in cahoots. But this is just speculation, and there's no proof. The detective offers each of the criminals a deal to rat on his comrade and get freedom for this. But the other criminal will be sentenced to 10 years in prison. If the criminal refuses to testify, he'll spend 6 months in prison for refusing to cooperate with the investigation. If both testify against each other, both will receive 2 years in prison. The criminals are isolated from each other and cannot communicate. It's in everyone's interest to reduce the time spent behind bars as much as possible. What decision should each criminal make? Make a deal with the investigation or remain silent? Since they can't communicate with each other, the criminals have 4 possibilities. A is silent and B is silent. Equals each gets 6 months in prison. A is silent and B testifies. B is released and A is sentenced to 10 years. A testifies and B is silent equals A is released and B is sentenced to 10 years. A testifies and B testifies equals both get imprisoned for 2 years. If the suspects are not allowed to communicate, then they do not know what the other will choose. In this situation, if A remains silent, then, depending on B's decision, he will be sentenced to 10 years or 6 months. If A testifies against B, A will receive 2 years in prison or will be released. So it will be more profitable for each of the suspects to testify against each other, so as not to be sentenced to 10 years. But if A and B had the opportunity to communicate, then of course, the best solution for each of them would be to refuse to make a deal with the investigation and get only 6 months in prison. On the first day of school, someone pierced the wheels of the principal's car. When a detective arrived, she immediately suspected that the culprit was not one of the students, but an adult, since all the children were in the classroom. So, she questioned 4 teachers, asking each of them what they had been doing at 8 a.m. Mr. Walter said that he'd been on his way to school, running late. Mrs. Thomas answered that she had been checking her students' exam papers. Mr. Benjamin said that he'd been reading a newspaper. And Mrs. Calvin explained that she had been in her office with her husband, who had come to visit her. The detective immediately realized who had punctured the tires on the principal's car. Who was it? It was Mrs. Thomas.
Oh, no.
She couldn't be checking exam papers on the first day of school. Mary Levis was a famous detective. Once, she was gathering all available information on a tricky case. A well-known banker disappeared from his office. The detective had 5 suspects: Alice, Jack, Stephen, Nicholas, and Maria. The thing is, on the banker's table, Mary found a diary with several entries. The latest entry said, "At 10 o'clock, I have a meeting with Maria. The next day, at 1 o'clock, I have to meet with Nicholas. And on June 3rd, I have an $11 million deal with Stefan. It's important not to mix it up." After carefully examining the evidence, the detective realized who was behind the banker's disappearance. Who was it? It was Jack. All the numbers in the last entry, 10, 1, 3, and 11, are the order of the letters in the alphabet. By matching the numbers with letters, you can get the name. There was a theft in a multi-story building. The victim was sure she would receive a large payment from the insurance company. As for the robber, she claimed he had jumped out of the window and disappeared. The detective went to the first floor, opened a closed window, and threw a coin out of it. Then he went up to the second floor and did the same. He continued to climb floor after floor, opening windows and throwing coins, until he reached the last one. Then he returned and said that the victim was lying. How did he understand it? The detective had to open every window on every floor. If the robber had jumped out on his own, he wouldn't have been able to close the window behind him. He had an accomplice, and most likely, it was the victim who wanted a payout from the insurance company. Jake and his friend Jonathan liked challenging each other. One would suggest something they could do, and the other would prove it wrong somehow. One day, Jake surprised Jonathan by stating, "I can answer any question in the world." Jonathan was sure that he could win the challenge, so he accepted the task of proving it wrong. He wrote up a test full of super hard questions. After a while, Jake returned the test. Jonathan lost the challenge. He had to admit that Jake could indeed answer any question. How did Jake win? He indeed answered all the questions by writing, "I don't know." Two workmen were repairing a roof. Suddenly, they both fell down the chimney and found themselves in a large fireplace. One man's face was smeared with soot, but the face of the other was clean. The second man washed his face, but the worker whose face was dirty didn't, and just went back to work. Why? When the two men looked at each other, the one with the clean face thought his face was dirty as well. The other man, though, looked at his companion and thought that his face was clean.
Bob went scuba diving for his birthday. He got to see the rich marine life of Florida's ocean, but when he was down there, he hit his head on a coral reef. Now, it turned out that Bob was fine, except for the fact that he had lost a bit of his short-term memory. When he arrived home, there were 3 beautiful women waiting for him. Hey, it was his birthday. They all claimed that they were his wife. Well, take a look at the image. Can you help Bob figure out who is really his wife? It's the second woman on the right. If you look closely, you'll see she's wearing the same gold ring that Bob's wearing. Henry is the CEO of his own company. Have a look at the picture. One of these ladies is Henry's sister. Can you figure out who? Although he's looking at the woman on the right, his sister is on the left. They both have the same birthmark on their necks. Good eye, if you caught that. There was a recent break-in at Mr. Frank's grocery store. Luckily, the security cameras captured everything. Mr. Frank called in Detective Harper to crack the case. Harper noticed one small but very important detail that solved the mystery. Take a peek at the images Detective Harper reviewed. Can you figure out who the thief is? Let's see. That guy's just carrying around a baguette. The one near the fridge has normal groceries in her cart. And the last guy is holding a lettuce in his hands. But hey, take a look at the lettuce. It has such a weird shape. In fact, it has a banana inside of it. That guy was trying to sneak out with a banana and a lettuce. He's the thief, definitely. And a weird one. It's finals week at Crestwood Academy, and the tension is sky high. Check out the classroom and see if you can figure out who's cheating. It's the student with the smartwatch. He's looking at his watch to get the answers to the exam. Mrs. Bells has 3 sons. She is the best cook in the family, and she loves to make her family amazing dinners. Her sons love her, but say she keeps giving the best food to her favorite son. Examine the image carefully. Can you figure out who is her favorite son? It's the one in the middle. While all the other boys have a food plate in front of them, the little guy in the middle is already eating dessert. She gave him the best first. Bibi, Jenna, Miriam, and Jackie were called to the CEO's office for a meeting. It started to rain just before the meeting, and one of the ladies got in at the last minute. Their shoes got wet, and they stained the boss's carpet. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who stained his carpet? It was Miriam, the third lady in the middle. She is the one wearing high-heeled shoes, and if you look closely, that's the shape that a super wealthy businessman, Mr. Carl Jenkins, has been taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone's almost run out of charge, so he can only write one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who runs a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, so he used the same technique. The message was this. Can you guess what it means? Back in high school, they would shift one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. To decipher it, you need to go one letter to the left. Their alphabet looks like this. The message is, "It was Eric." Having read the message, John knew immediately who his friend was talking about. Eric is the financial director of Carl's company. He had seen him once at a party a couple of years ago, so he knew what he looked like. John decided to investigate this case himself and help his friend out. He was sure there was something secret in Carl's mansion. Somehow he thought he knew that Eric would have the key to the mansion. The receptionist, Kelly, said he would always have lunch with different business partners at 2 p.m. sharp in his favorite cafe. When the detective drove up to the cafe, he saw Eric, the man with a beard, discussing business with someone. Either of them had a briefcase next to them, and the briefcases looked similar to each other. John was waiting for Eric and the second guy to leave the cafe. They went to the car, got in, and left both briefcases on the back seat. The detective followed them. They left the car in a parking lot, and luckily, they were careless enough to leave the car open. Which briefcase should the detective grab? The one that looks brand new. While they were walking to the car, the detective spotted a few scratches on the second man's briefcase. Both briefcases were locked with a cipher. Not to make the whole thing suspicious, the detective decided not to take it and cracked the code right in the car. Can you help him open the briefcase? The code is 000. The briefcase is brand new, and Eric probably didn't have time to set a code on it yet. Plus, Eric's the one who leaves the car open and unattended in a parking lot, so no wonder he uses a default code for his briefcase. Now that the detective has the key, he heads to the mansion. The front door isn't a problem with the key in hand. The study is upstairs. He's been there before, so he remembers the stairs leading up have a secret. If you step on the wrong stair, you'll instantly fall to the basement and won't be able to escape from it yourself. What step should John mind? It's the one with the slit in the middle. When you step on it, it opens, and you get into a dark room with bats and spiders. Yikes! Alright, John is finally at the study door, and Carl would always use buttons to open it. You've got only one try. There are 3 buttons, yellow, green, and blue. Which one should the detective choose if he knows that Carl is a big fan of painting? A combination of blue and yellow gives green, so the door opens. Green light for our detective. He finally reaches the safe with top-secret documents that could help him find out the truth. Obviously, just like any other safe, it's locked with a code. It also has a warning. You can enter the code only once. If you hit the wrong code, the safe locks up forever. He's looking around for a hint, and voila! John is right. On the desk, he sees a note. It says "Secret Code" and has a combination of 3 digits, 3, something, and 1. The digit in the middle can't be seen since there's an ink stain right on it. Can you crack the code with one attempt only? The code is 371. The detective thought the code was used frequently, so the button must have been a bit worn out. He was right. Since he knew the beginning and the end, he only needed to find one more worn button. Alright, now he's got the top-secret documents he needed for his investigation. He looks through all the papers and finally finds something that looks like the document he actually needed. To take it as a hard proof, he needs to find one which is not fake. There are 4 copies. They look almost the same, but only one is real. Can you guess which one? It's the one in the upper left corner. It has a stamp, a signature, and it says "Agreement." The one next to it looks the same, but it has a spelling mistake. It says "Agreement." Other copies lack either a stamp or a signature. So the detective takes a closer look at this agreement and sees something about a painting bought in an auction. He suddenly understands that his friend Carl was taken so that someone could sneak into his mansion and grab that super expensive painting. He's looking at the wall with all the paintings Carl collected and realizes that no painting is missing. There are as many nails in the wall as there are paintings. Still, there's something strange about one of them. Can you spot what's wrong here? Even though all the paintings are present, there's one that lacks a frame. According to the agreement, the painting has been recently bought, and an art dealer helped Carl pick it. The expert was an honest man, and he helped Carl make sure all the other paintings in his collection were real. This time, the painting turned out to be nothing but a copy. Why did the expert suggest that Carl buy it? Although the painting cost nothing, its frame was a beautiful and expensive piece of art. The one who grabbed it definitely knew that. Now it's all clear. John has to find both Carl and the precious frame. He goes outside, trying to deduce where the person who took Carl went. Carl is looking at all the tracks on the ground. He needs to follow one of them to understand where to look for Carl. Where should he go? He's got to follow the tracks going to the left. There are 3 sets of tracks here. The first belonged to John's car. The second set belongs to a 2-wheel vehicle, and since the tracks are really thin, they were left by a bike. It seems impossible to take someone somewhere on a bike, so these must belong to a mail carrier who comes every day to bring the letters. The last set of tracks definitely belongs to a large car, so John should follow it. He's lucky and there are no turns, so he's just going straight. Half an hour later, he sees something like a castle. He drives up to it and he sees 3 moats in front of him. Here's the first one, a row full of metal stakes. How can John jump over it safely? There's a small hot air balloon nearby. John has to untie it and light the lamp to take off. Since the next moat is on fire, John thinks it's unsafe to fly over it because the air balloon doesn't fly high enough and the lamp doesn't have enough oil to go on for long. Still, he managed to cross the moat with fire easily. How did he do it? He took the sand from the air balloon's ballast and sprinkled it on the fire, extinguishing it. The last moat was filled with scalding hot lava. It took John some time to figure out how to cross it, but he managed to do it safely. How? There were a lot of stones around him. The lava torrent wasn't deep at all, so throwing stones at it, he made a tiny path to hop on. The castle was rather small inside, so the hardest thing was to actually get into it. When he entered the hall, John saw 3 doors. Above the doors, there was a sign. It said, "One of the doors leads to a labyrinth no one ever escaped. One of the doors is the exit. If you enter it, you'll have to cross all the 3 moats all over again. One of the doors has what you're looking for." When John looked at the doors, he knew immediately where his friend was. Which door did he choose? The handles were made of shiny metal, which looks cool but gathers all the fingerprints. The only door with fingerprints is the one on the left. John opens the door and sees his friend. Carl rushes out of that dark room, and while heading to the exit, they spot a few frames. Which one is Carl's? The rectangular one. The painting was rectangular, and the 2 other frames are square. The 2 friends get out of the castle, get in the car, and head to the police department. There, an officer's waiting for them. They have 3 suspects who could have possibly taken the exquisite frame. Carl and John enter the room separately. Still, they choose the same person. Who did they choose? The man on the right. Carl chooses him because it's the art expert. John chooses him because he saw him with Carl having lunch. Wow, seems like this expert's not going to work with Carl ever again. Samantha is a hairdresser who will choose to give a haircut to 2 brunettes rather than to 1 redhead. Why? It's obvious. This way, she will earn more. Both Mark and Daniel had a box of chocolates each. There were 12 chocolates in each box. Mark ate some sweets, then Daniel opened his box and ate the same number of chocolates that were left in Mark's box. How many chocolates do the guys have together now? Together, they have 12 chocolates. You're trapped in a secret laboratory by a mad professor. You find a corridor ending with 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a giant shark. Behind the second one, there's a deep hole with sharp metal spikes at the bottom. And the third door hides live electrical wires. Before you have time to pick one exit, the corridor starts to fill with water. Choose fast which door can save your life. Choose the second door. As soon as the corridor fills with water, you'll be able to swim over the spikes. Can you find 3 differences between these 2 pictures? Here you go, all 3 of them. How about these 2 rooms? Do you think you can find 3 differences? If you've spotted them all, congratulations! Now, look at these students and tell me who is cheating. It's this girl wearing a white t-shirt. She has the answers to the test written on her arm. Mark was an infamous robber, so smart he was always one step ahead of the police. Mark's rivals were jealous of his skills, but one time they found out that Mark had just got his hands on a precious necklace. His main competitor decided to steal this necklace from Mark to prove he was a more skilled thief. So he searched Mark's house, but didn't find the necklace. Disappointed, he put everything back in place and left. When Mark came back home, he immediately realized someone had been there. How did he figure it out? The bed is the clue. It looks different than before the rivals' visit. Look at these people attentively. All of them are teachers, but one teacher is fake. Can you figure out which one? It's the guy on the left. Can you see his portrait over there on the wall? He's a wanted criminal. Now look at these two teachers. Which of them is a criminal? It's most probably the lady on the left. Look, there's something red on her sleeve. Is it blood? Put on your detective hat and tell me which grandma is not dangerous. Look at the reflection of the granny on the right. She seems to be a robot. This doesn't make her dangerous per se, but it's still weird. Michael had a powerful enemy who was a dark wizard. Once he managed to kidnap the man and lock him on top of an incredibly high tower. In Michael's room, there was just one small window and no doors at all. But the wizard thought it wasn't enough. He set the tower on magic fire and apparated away. Michael knew he didn't have much time left. He looked around the room and saw 3 magic potions. The first one could make him inhumanly strong. The second would turn him into a vampire. And with the help of the third potion, he could summon any animal he wanted. Which potion should he drink? Well, even if he destroyed the tower with his newly acquired strength, it wouldn't help him with the magic fire. No animal could help him escape from the tower. But if he chose to become a vampire, he would be able to turn into a bat and simply fly away. Damien left a $100 bill lying on his desk and left for work. When he came back, the money wasn't there. No surprise. The cook explained that she had put the bill under the book lying on the table, but when Damien checked, there was nothing there. Then the housekeeper said that she had moved the money inside the book between pages 10 and 11 to keep it safe. But again, there was nothing inside the book. And finally, the gardener said that he had seen the money sticking out of the book and placed the bill between pages 13 and 14. Who took the money? It was the gardener. Pages 13 and 14 are 2 sides of the same page. There were just 2 days remaining before an important basketball competition, when one of the main players of one of the teams went missing. The last time he was seen at lunchtime. There were 3 suspects: Michael, Ethan, and John. The police interviewed the 3 of them and got the following answers. When the player disappeared, Michael was giving autographs to some pretty girls. Ethan had sprained his ankle and was getting a massage. And John was taking a shower before the training. Who is a liar? It's John. It doesn't make any sense to take a shower before the training. Richard was walking through the park after work when somebody hit him on the head from behind. When he woke up, he was in a well. Luckily, there wasn't too much water in it. But as soon as Richard tried to climb out of the well, he realized the walls were too slippery. The man noticed a rope with a bucket tied to it. The bucket was hanging pretty low, but try as he might, Richard couldn't reach it. However, in 15 minutes, the man was running away from the dangerous place. Can you figure out how Richard escaped? The man took his shoes off and threw them into the bucket. It got down, and Richard managed to escape. On the outskirts of town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check if the house lived up to its reputation. They went there at night, but as soon as they reached their destination, one guy refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed at him and entered the place, leaving him behind. He heard some terrible crashing sounds coming from the house, and then everything went still. The guy never saw his friends again. How did he understand there was something seriously wrong with the house? The guy who stayed behind was very attentive. He noticed that there were lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. Captain Black was on the bridge of a spacecraft when the engineer informed him they had problems with the engine. They needed to land soon to repair it. There were 3 planets on their way. One was freezing cold and covered with ice. The second was boiling hot and covered with molten lava. And the third planet was covered with acid that could easily destroy their ship. What planet did the captain choose? Black chose the cold planet, since very low temperatures aren't a problem for a spaceship. 4 boys are lined up on several steps, all of them facing in the same direction. A brick wall separates the 4th boy from the rest. Boy number 1 can see boys number 2 and number 3. Boy number 2 can see boy number 3. All boy number 3 sees is the wall. And boy number 4 doesn't see the others. The boys are wearing hats, and they know that 2 of the hats are white and 2 are black. Which boy will be the first to figure out and shout out the color of the hat he's wearing if the boys aren't allowed to turn, talk to each other, or take their hats off? It'll be boy number 2. Boys 3 and 4 can't see each other's hats. Boy number 1 sees 1 black hat and 1 white hat and knows that his hat can either be white or black. Boy number 2 sees 1 black hat. He realizes that if he was also wearing a black hat, boy number 1 would understand that his hat is white. And since he hasn't shouted yet, it means that boy number 2 is wearing a white hat.
Miss Jenkins invited her friends over. There was only one problem. Her friends eat a lot, so she knew she needed to bake 6 pies. At some point, she lost track of time and realized there was little time left. How can she cope in 15 minutes if only 4 pies are placed in the pan, and a pie should be baked for 5 minutes on each side? Here's how she can do that. She puts 4 pies for 5 minutes and turns over 2 pies. Then she removes 2 pies and puts 2 new ones, not yet fried, once again for 5 minutes. Next, she removes 2 pies, turns 2 of them, and puts 2 underdone ones from the first batch, which will take 5 minutes. Bon appetit! Water lilies grow in the pond. They multiply quite quickly, doubling the area of distribution every day. In 48 days, the pond will be completely covered with water lilies. In how many days will the water lilies cover half the pond? It's 47 days, not 24. If the number of water lilies doubles every day, then it takes them 48 days to cover the entire pond. It's logical that they will occupy half the pond the day before that. Mr. Richardson, a math professor, decided to treat his friends to his signature vegetable salad. To do this, he needed 3 bell peppers and the same number of tomatoes. He also needed fewer cucumbers than tomatoes, but more than radishes. How many vegetables did the professor use in the salad? Mr. Richardson used 9 veggies, 3 bell peppers, 3 tomatoes, 2 cucumbers, and 1 radish. There were 3 rabbits in the cage. 3 girls asked for 1 rabbit each. Each girl was given a rabbit, and yet there was still 1 rabbit left in the cage. How did it happen? One girl was given a rabbit along with the cage. A man jumped out of a plane without a parachute. He landed on solid ground, but remained unharmed. Why? The plane was on the ground. The satellite makes 1 revolution around the Earth in 1 hour 40 minutes. Yet the same one can make 1 revolution in only 100 minutes. How can it be so? "100 minutes is 1 hour and 40 minutes. Gotcha! 8 twin brothers escaped to a country house for the weekend, and each found something to his liking. The first one is busy picking apples. The second one goes fishing. The third one heats the sauna. The fourth one plays chess with his brother. The fifth one cooks dinner. The sixth one watches a series on a laptop all day. The seventh one discovers the artist in himself and paints the surrounding landscapes. What is the 8th brother doing at this time? Well, he plays chess with the 4th brother. One woman lived in a 12-room apartment. She had a clock in every room. One Saturday evening, at the end of October, she changed all her clocks to wintertime and went to bed. When she woke up the next morning, she found that only 2 dials showed the correct time. Why? Ten of the 12 clocks were electronic. During the night, there was a power surge and the clocks went off. And only 2 were mechanical, so they showed the correct time the next morning. Jack and John are best buddies, and they're both philosophers. Therefore, sometimes the way they speak may be pretty bizarre for common people. "Let's have dinner together when the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday," said John. "Today will be as far from Sunday as the day that was today when the day before yesterday was tomorrow." What day of the week did he speak about? It's Sunday. Luckily, Jack could easily interpret what his friend wanted to say, so they had a nice dinner together. There are 20 people on the bus. At the first stop, 2 people got off and 3 people got in. At the next one, 1 got off and 4 got in. At the next, 5 got off and 2 got in. At the next, 2 got off and 1 got in. At the next, 9 got off and no one got in. At the next, 2 more came out. How many stops were there? There were 6 stops. Samantha and Julie wanted to have a peaceful Sunday afternoon. They decided to have a hot air balloon ride and headed to the park. The instructor offered them to choose which one they wanted to ride, a blue one, a green one, or a yellow one? Samantha loves the blue one. No surprise. Look at her clothes. And Julie wants to go for the green one. Which girl isn't very attentive? Samantha. The color isn't that important. There's no sandbags. You want to have a safe ride, don't you? Somebody was stealing important documents from the office. The guards didn't see anyone. Neither did the secretary. The boss decided to install the security cameras to find out who was doing it. They checked the footage carefully and found out who it was. Can you guess? It's the man in the white shirt. When he went out of the office, he had 2 folders in his hand. At the beginning of the day, he had only one. Which number is missing? 4, 5, 6. 4, 5. The number 7 is missing. The subsequent number of 456 is 457. Imagine you've just entered a pitch-black room. There's an oil lamp, a newspaper, and some wood kindling inside the room. You have only one match. You have to make a tough choice. What to light first? The oil lamp is definitely a good choice, but it's still incorrect. First of all, you'll need to light the match. Ted Thompson, who didn't really like modern art, rushed into the city gallery and caused millions of dollars worth of damage to several paintings. Yet, the manager of the gallery thanked Mr. Thompson for his actions. How come? Ted was a firefighter. The water from his hose damaged several masterpieces, but he still managed to extinguish the fire and save many more exhibits. Once upon a time, in a spooky forest, there were 7 trolls who were all brothers. They were all born 3 years apart. The youngest troll is 100 years old now. How old is his oldest brother? He's 118. Looking good for that age. A man wakes up in a place he's never been before. He rushes to the exit and sees 2 doors. When he opens the first door, he sees that the hall is made of magnifying glass. The scorching hot sun fries anyone who enters in no time. Behind a second door, a huge dragon breathing with fire is sleeping. But anyone who enters this hall risks waking it up immediately. How does he escape safely? He needs to wait for dusk, so there's no sun, and he can easily get out of that place. Detective Cooper needed to find out the very last piece of missing information in the case he's been dealing with lately. He finally got to the office where secret documents were hidden. To open the door, he needs to choose the right button. There are 3 of them, a yellow one, a green one, and a blue one. Which one should the detective choose? The detective needs to choose the blue button. It's pretty worn out, so it must have been used many times. Plus, there's a small note with a warning. The green button is for emergency, and the yellow one shuts all the doors and turns off the light in the whole building. One day, Amanda thought her boyfriend hid a secret from her. To find out what it was, she needed to get access to his laptop. She had no idea what the password was, but there was a post-it note right on his desk. However, she needed to decipher the pass. Apple, man, Dawn. Can you crack this code? Right, it's Amanda. Her name is the code. By the way, the secret he was hiding was the birthday present Eric was choosing for her. Hey, never do what Amanda did. It's pretty mean to snoop on someone.
If you had problems with math in school, maybe they weren't teaching you the right way. Today, I'll teach you some basic math visually, and Latin letters and numbers will finally make sense to you. I promise. Let's start with this one. Do you remember this basic equation? A plus b squared? It's equal to a squared plus 2 times a multiplied by b plus b squared. We learned it as a rule and accepted that it's true, but now I'll make you see that it's indeed correct. Let's have a square with a side a plus b. That's the left part of the formula, right? One side is a plus b, and the other side is a plus b. So, the space of the square is a plus b squared. Now let's break the square into 4 pieces like this. There's a square with a side of a in the space of a squared, and another one with a side of b in the space of b squared. In addition, 2 rectangles are formed with a side A and a side B. So, their space is A by B. This is exactly the right side of the formula. So, now you can see that these spaces are exactly equal. Now let's have a visualization of a similar formula, but with a minus. A minus B squared is equal to A squared minus 2 by A by B plus B squared. We'll start with a square with a side A. So, the area of the square is, without a doubt, a squared. Then, since we have the subtraction on the left side of the formula, we need to make the side smaller by b. So, we divide it like this, with this side being equal to b. Now, this square right here has a side of a minus b, and its area is a minus b squared, which is the left side of the equation here. Now we need to track how we get it. We start with the big A squared square. Then we subtract this rectangle whose area is equal to a times b. We still don't have the square we need, so we need to subtract the area of the other a times b rectangle here. But it's now missing a piece. So, before we can do that, we need to add the b squared. Yes, and now we subtract another AB rectangle. So, as you see, now we got the area of a minus b squared, just like the formula tells us. One of the most famous theorems of geometry is the theorem of Pythagoras, which states that for a right triangle, the square of one side plus the square of the other side is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, let's prove that it's right for any right triangle. But, of course, we're going to do it visually. So, here's our right triangle. Let's denote its sides as A, B, and C. Now, let's duplicate the triangle and make 3 more that are exactly like the original one. I'll arrange them this way. They're now forming 2 additional shapes, this one around and this one in the middle. You guessed it right, both of these are squares. But how do we know that? Let's start with the big one. First, it has 4 right angles, which makes it some kind of a rectangle. To be a square, all 4 sides must be equal. And, indeed, they are. Look, this is the side A of a triangle, and right next to it, there's another triangle with the side equal to B. So, the side of this big figure is A plus B, right? Now, this is another A, and this is another B. So, this side is A plus B too. Off to the third side. Since it's the exact same triangle, then this is A. The fourth triangle is the same too. And this part is equal to B. The fourth side is equal to A plus B as well. Now, we established that the big figure is a square with a side of A plus B. So, the area inside it is A plus B squared. But what about the other shape, the one that's inside? As you remember, this one is C from the original triangle, but the other triangles are the same. So all 4 sides of the shape are equal to C. So it's another square with an area of, you guessed it, C squared. Okay, we remember it. In fact, let's make a duplicate of that square and put it aside for a little bit. Now let's rearrange the triangle like this. You see, now there are 3 squares formed. There's this one. This side is B, and this side is B too. So it's a square with an area of B squared. And there's another one. This is side A, and this is side A. So it's a square with an area a squared. Now all together, they form a bigger shape. Once again, it's a square. And one we already know, a square with a side of a plus b in the area of a plus b squared. Okay, so do you see where I'm driving at? We had this a plus b squared square that was filled with 4 triangles and 1 c squared square. Now I have the same a plus b squared square with the same 4 triangles, but 2 smaller squares, a squared and b squared. So it seems like c squared is the same area as a squared plus b squared, and this is exactly our proof. This is just one of over 300 proofs this theorem has so far. Maybe you can come up with some other one. Now, we all know the formula for the area of a circle. It's the squared radius multiplied by the mysterious number pi. Now, it's time to show you the visual proof of it. Let's draw a circle, and we want to figure out what its area is. We divide it into several equal parts, let's say into 8 parts, for starters. We can arrange these 8 parts into a rectangle-like shape. Still, this doesn't help us much to figure out the area. Let's divide it into 16 pieces then, and once again, rearrange them trying to form a rectangle. Now, it's already closer, but still not enough. We make more pieces, and they turn smaller. It's 24 now, and the rectangle is more distinctive now. Do you see what I'm getting at? The more pieces we divide the circle into, and the smaller they are, the closer they are to being a perfect rectangle when we rearrange them. The smaller the pieces, the closer it gets. Look at this one now. Divide, rearrange. Looks good enough, huh? So now we need to find the area of the rectangle, and it'll be the area of the circle too. This smaller side right here, the height, is the size of the radius. The other side, or the base, is equal to half of the circumference of the circle. And the circumference is 2 pi r, so the base is just pi r. So now we see that the area of the rectangle and the area of the circle is r times pi r, or pi r squared too. Now let me clarify just one thing, the length of the circumference and how pi comes into play. Let's have 3 circles with the diameters of 1, 2, and 3. Well, the radius of each will be half the diameter, of course. Here we take the first circle. The radius is 0.5, and the diameter is 1. If we roll it on the ruler, the length is approximately 3.14. Now let's take the next circle. The diameter is 2, the radius is 1, we roll it, and the length is approximately 6.28, which is 3.14 multiplied by 2. The last circle, with the diameter of 3 and the radius of 1.5, you know the drill. We roll it and measure. The length is now approximately 9.42, or 3.14 multiplied by 3. This mysterious number got called pi. In fancy words, it's the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter, and as you've seen, it's always the same. So that's it for today, and I hope I made math a bit more understandable for you.
Eric was deeply in love with Carrie, and he finally decided to ask her out. He wanted to make it romantic. So instead of texting her, he decided to write his invitation with chalk on the sidewalk right outside her window. It read, "Carrie, I'll be waiting for you in the restaurant Star tomorrow at 7 p.m. sharp." Carrie was also in love with Eric, and she would have come there with pleasure. Still, she never showed up. Why? Thing is, the rain started, and the invitation was washed away. Carrie simply didn't see it. I hope they work things out. Allison got lost in a forest and stumbled upon an old house. When she entered it, she saw a witch. She wasn't evil, though, so she said she could help Allison find a way home if she cracked a riddle. The witch asked Allison, "What kind of room can you neither enter nor leave?" Allison was smart, so she gave the right answer. "Can you crack it too?" I told you the witch wasn't evil. She even gave a small hint. Do you see a mushroom in her hand? Right, the answer is mushroom. A detective got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of New York's museums. To stop it from happening, he needs to know the month the heist is planned for. Later, the police managed to find a clue. It was a note with a secret code. The police couldn't crack it, so they brought it to the detective. What month is the heist planned for? The detective cracked the code almost immediately. A jar in the picture stands for J, a ukulele stands for U, a nugget stands for N, and an eggplant stands for E. Ah, June. There are 70 floors in the apartment building. The higher the floor, the more people live there. Which floor does the elevator go to most often? It's the first floor. The residents of all floors go down to the first floor. A luxurious spa center got an anonymous call. Someone called to report a lady that's planning to steal expensive jewelry from the spa center visitors. The staff went to look for that lady to escort her out. Can you find her? Look, there's a lady having a pedicure. She doesn't look suspicious, but she's the only one who's not wearing a special bracelet. Security! The other day, Kelly was rummaging around her auntie's attic when she accidentally stumbled upon 5 short chains, each made of 4 silver links. She thought it could be great if she combined them all into one big chain of 20 links. When she went back to town, she brought those tiny chains to a jeweler. He told her it would cost $5 for each silver link that he would have to break and then reseal. How much will the chain cost? Kelly could do that for $25 if she told the jeweler to break a link in each chain. But she was really smart, so she asked the jeweler to break all 4 links in one chain and use them to attach the other chains, which cost her $20. A wise king decided to find someone who could replace him. He wanted to make a challenge, and the one who nailed it would become the new king. Anyone who wanted to take the throne needed to put a whole cucumber into a glass bottle without cutting the cucumber or damaging the bottle. The participants had a week to do it. This challenge seemed to be impossible, so only 5 people decided to take part, and there was only one winner. How did he put the cucumber in the bottle? He placed a baby cucumber, still on its stem, into the bottle. Cucumbers grow rather fast, so he had enough time to win that competition. And now he's king. They set the bar kind of low, didn't they? Joanna and Josh were on their honeymoon in Italy. On the first day, they went on a city tour around Venice and left all their stuff in the hotel room. When they came back, someone was standing outside their door trying to get in. The couple called the receptionist right away, but the man claimed Joanna and Josh owed him some money for the tours they'd taken in the past 4 days. The reception knew the man was lying right away. How did he figure it out? It was the couple's first day in the hotel. There's a barrel of water in the yard. You look inside and say that it's more than half full, but your friend argues that it's less than half full. How can you figure out who's right without using any measuring tools or removing water from the barrel? Tilt the barrel so that the water touches its rim. If you can see the bottom, the barrel's less than half full. If the bottom is still covered with water, it's more. 2 couples are about to get married. The hall is full of guests. The brides look stunning in these long white gowns, and the grooms seem to be completely happy. All of a sudden, one of the guests notices there's something wrong with one of the couples. Can you guess what? Look at this couple. These folks have no reflection at all. They must be vampires. In one of the galaxies, there's Planet Pink. There are many people, but few animals. Only hens and roosters live there. They can be of 3 different colors: pink, red, and yellow. Andrew went to that planet to see his friends for the weekend, and while he was walking down the street, he saw 3 bird couples in love. No bird can be with a partner of the same color. Can you guess the color of the partner of the red hen? It's the yellow rooster. The red hen can't go out with the red one, and the pink rooster, as you see, is madly in love with the yellow hen. Emily's aunt has bought a bottle of perfume for her niece's birthday. Sadly, she couldn't keep it, because Helga, her sister, is terribly allergic to perfumes. Emily brought it back to her aunt, who bought it for $65. The old lady sold it to someone for $80. Then she suddenly remembered she had one more niece, so she got it back for $70. Sally, the forgotten niece, turned out to be allergic too, so the auntie had to sell it again for $60. Did she make any profit? Yep, she made $5 and grabbed a Frappuccino for the same amount. You're trapped in a room that's slowly getting filled with water coming from a faucet in the wall. There are no windows in the room, and the door is sealed shut. You have a mop and a big bucket. So how are you going to get yourself out of this one? This one was simple. You just need to turn the faucet off. Sally works as a barista. She's the one who served Emily's aunt with that Frappuccino. This morning, she dropped a cup full of coffee. Luckily, her white shirt wasn't stained, but it took her a while to clean up the mess. How come? There were coffee beans in the cup. They ended up right under the counter. After the bank had been robbed, the police found the money in the park among cacti. The police officers arrested all the suspects, and they almost immediately figured out who the bank robber was. Can you do the same in 10 seconds? This guy on the left has scratches left by cacti all over his body. Dennis was at home watching TV. All of a sudden, his wife's super expensive vase fell and broke in their bedroom. He ran into the room in time to see a stranger jump out the window and run away. Dennis tried to chase him, but his glasses fogged up because of the cold. That's why he couldn't identify who it was. When the police arrived, they listened to his story and immediately knew he was lying. Dennis made this story up not to tell his wife that he had broken the vase. How did they know this? Anyone who wears glasses knows that they don't fog up when you go from a warm room to the cold outdoors. It's the other way around.
Anna runs a chocolate factory. She offers all her clients a special deal. Anyone can exchange 5 chocolate wrappers for 1 chocolate bar. Robert spent 2 weeks collecting the wrappers and managed to find 77.
Yeah.
Can you tell what maximum number of chocolates he can get from Anna? Robert can get a total of 19 chocolates. Here's how it works. First of all, 77 wrappers can be exchanged for 15 chocolates with 2 wrappers left. After unwrapping the new 15 chocolate bars, Robert will be able to exchange 15 wrappers for 3 more chocolates. Now he can use the remaining 2 wrappers and the new 3 wrappers to get 1 chocolate bar. 15 plus 3 plus 1 equals 19.
Oh, yeah.
Henry is an astronaut from Earth. He landed his spaceship on another planet in an unknown galaxy and began to explore the city and its citizens. Very soon, Henry felt a desperate need to go to the restroom, but when he saw these two doors leading to the ladies' and gentlemen's bathrooms, he got really confused. The problem is that Harry doesn't speak the local language, and he can't ask which door is for men and which is for women. Thankfully, he met a local guy, Mo, who could understand English. But he can speak only his native language. What two questions should Henry ask to figure out the right door? He should point at one of the doors and ask, "Is this the men's restroom?" Then he needs to remember Mo's reply and ask, "Am I a man?" If Mo says the same word, then the restroom Henry is pointing at must be for men. And if Mo says a different word, the restroom is for women. There were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy is still in the box. How can it be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took a candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. On a cold night, 4 friends were roaming around the neighborhood. At one point, they tried to get under one umbrella, but the umbrella was too small. However, all 4 of them managed to stay dry. How can that be possible? It's possible because it wasn't raining. Meet Erica and Jim. Do you have any idea why he pushed her? Because they're shooting a movie. Do you see that cameraman reflected in the window? Billy organized a betting game for his friends. According to the rules, he will place 2 candies, 1 yellow and 1 red, in a dark box. If the player picks the red candy, they will get $5,000. But if they pick the yellow candy, they will have to pay $500. Unfortunately, Billy's a liar. He put 2 yellow candies in the box instead of 1 yellow and 1 red. Billy's friend Wendy watched the players losing the game one by one. But when it was Wendy's turn, she won $5,000. How did she do it? She picked a candy and, without showing it to anyone, ate it. Then she picked the remaining candy, which was yellow, and showed it to everyone. Billy had to admit that the first candy had been red. Otherwise, everyone would find out he was a liar. Nina went speed dating and met 3 handsome guys. The next day, each of the guys asked her out. Can you help Nina make the best choice? Brad didn't even ask the girl if she wanted to go to the restaurant or not. Besides, he's pretty rude and bossy. She barely knows Rob. It's not safe to go to his place alone, so Nina should choose David. He looks nice and polite.
Hello.
Amy has 2 strings. The only thing she can say for sure is that when you light one end of either string, it takes exactly 1 hour to burn. Can you help Amy measure 45 minutes with the help of the strings? She should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will have burned completely. To measure the remaining 15 minutes, she should light the second end of the second string. When it's fully burned, we'll know for sure that 45 minutes have passed. Adam is a famous opera singer. He's going to perform for the king and queen for 7 days in a row. In return for his work, they should pay him 1/7 of a gold bar per day. Adam doesn't accept prepayments. He requires a daily payment, which is 1/7 of a gold bar. What's the fewest number of cuts they should make to be able to pay Adam each day? Just 2. Here's how it works. Day 1, cut 1/7 of the gold bar and give it to Adam. Day 2, cut 2/7 of the gold bar and give this piece to Adam. He'll give you 1/7 of the bar back. Day 3, give the singer the 1/7 piece you received the previous day. Day 4, give Adam 4/7 of the gold bar, and he will give you the 1/7 and 2/7 pieces as change. Day 5, give Adam the 1/7 part of the bar. Day 6, give him the 2/7 piece and get the 1/7 one as change. And finally, Day 7, give Adam his final 1/7 piece of the gold bar. Jenny and Sam arrived at a picturesque campground. They had to set up a tent. There were 3 good spots: in the forest, in the field, and near the lake. Which place should they opt for? The best option is to choose the field. Wild animals live in the forest. As for the lake, look, a zombie is hiding in the bushes over there. Probably not the best neighbor. George was walking down the street. Suddenly, a wizard popped out of nowhere and teleported George to his castle. He offered the guy to choose between these 3 doors. There's a hungry tiger behind the first door. There's an angry dinosaur behind the second door. And the room behind the third door is filled with toxic gas. Which door should George choose? The second one. Dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. After 30 weeks, the tree is completely covered with fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree needs to get half covered with oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks. Because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. In the ocean, there's an island. On the island, there's a house. In the middle of the house, there's a glass of water. Inside the glass of water, there's a coin. What's in the middle of the ocean? The correct answer is simple, the letter E. Harry went to a party. He liked these 4 ladies. He wanted to talk to one of them. Which one should he choose? Take a look at the first lady's hand. She's a zombie. The second lady has a vampire bite on her neck. She can turn into a vampire any minute and ruin the date. And the fourth lady is a ghost, so Harry should go and talk to the third lady.
Hello.
Detective Thomas received a call from Holly. She said, "Please come over. I got robbed. It happened so fast. I left my purse in the backseat of the car. When I stopped at the traffic light, someone opened the door and snatched my purse." Detective Thomas hit the road and rushed to the crime scene. But when he saw Holly, he realized that she was a liar right away. How? Holly has a 2-door car. How could a thief steal something from the back seat? There are 3 houses. One of the houses seems very weird. Can you tell which one of them looks suspicious? Look at the footprints. They lead to and from houses 1 and 3, so people come and go from those houses. As for the second house, the footprints only lead in one direction, inside. People come in, but they never go out. Take a look at this messy floor. Can you count the number of laptops that you can charge with the help of these extension leads? The cord of extension lead 3 is torn. As for the second lead, one of its outlets is broken. Extension lead 4 has only one outlet, which makes the entire thing pretty useless. And extension lead 6 doesn't have any cable at all. Now let's see what we can do about it. Connect extension lead 1 to the wall outlet. Then connect extension lead 2 to extension lead 1. This way, you can use 2 outlets from the first extension lead to charge 2 laptops. One outlet of extension lead 2 can be used to connect the 5th extension lead, and one of them is useless anyway. Now we can use 2 outlets from extension lead 2 and all 4 outlets of the 5th extension lead to charge 6 laptops. So the total number of outlets in use will be 8. Simple! Danny and Diana are spouses. They jog in the park every morning. To match every 2 steps Danny makes, Diana needs to take 3 steps. If both of them start with the right foot, how many steps would they make before their left feet are in the front at the same time? They'll never reach that goal. Here's how it'll go. I'm a 5-letter word under you. Remove the first letter and I'm above you. Remove the second and I'm around you. Who am I? Well, have you managed to crack this riddle? It's a chair. Great job! 2 best friends, Emily and Luna, came to a popular and expensive hair salon. At first, the administrator told the girls they had just one available hairstylist. But after making a phone call, she happily announced she had found another hairdresser. Emily and Luna could have their hair done at the same time. But in the process, it dawned on the girls that one of the hairstylists was fake. Which one? Hairstylists are using regular scissors, but instead of hairspray, the one on the left is holding a can of bug spray. Yeah, that's a big clue right there. Mary and her younger brother Alex were mushroom hunting in the forest. They started to quarrel. So Alex got angry and ran away. After several minutes, Mary rushed after him. She was still fuming but also worried. Soon, the girl reached a small river. A man was sitting on the shore. "Did you see a teenager here?" Mary asked. "Yep, he's just taken a boat and made it to the other side." But Mary didn't believe the man. Why? The boat is indeed on the other side, but the paddles are lying next to the man. How could the boy cross the river without them? 3 prisoners are sitting at a table having dinner, but one of them is wealthy. Can you guess who it is? It's not the guy with the steak and shrimps. The little tag on his shirt reveals he's a chef, and he likes to prepare a special treat for himself. The guy with the jewels shows that he's well off, but in prison, jewelry is basically worthless. It's the third guy. Wealthy people try to keep a low profile in prison, not to be targeted by others. That's why he doesn't flash any valuable possessions or his status. It's Friday and all the students have gathered in a big lecture hall to take the end of term exam. The teacher has been informed that one student is going to cheat. Can you tell which one? Pay attention to every detail. It's student C. It looks as if he's trying to remember what he's read, but he has all the answers written on his hand. Marta was walking through the park near her home in the evening. It was dark and there was nobody around. Suddenly, someone grabbed her from behind and they bolted away. Marta took off after them. She was pretty sure this person was a woman, but she couldn't make out her appearance or clothes. When Marta ran inside, she saw 3 teachers. The girl looked at them attentively and soon figured out which one of them had taken her bag. Can you do the same? The woman in the middle wouldn't be able to run away with a cast on her leg. The one on the right doesn't have anything in her hands. Where would she hide Marta's bag so quickly? But the woman on the left has a big shopper bag on her shoulder. A real teacher wouldn't need to carry it in the classroom, so she was definitely the one who took the bag. Jonathan sneaked out of the house late in the evening to meet his girlfriend. The teenager thought he was extremely careful and quiet, but his whole family knew about his plan. They were aware the guy would return at midnight, so they decided to make a bet. The one who would see Nathan first when the guy started climbing the fence would be the winner. The prize would be no chores for them for 1 week. So as to not fall asleep, Nathan's dad switched on the TV. The teen's grandfather settled in the living room to read a book. The grandmother went to the kitchen to make a pizza, and Nathan's mom went to her room, sat down on the floor, and started to meditate. Who's going to be the first to spot Nathan when the time comes? Nathan's mom. Her eyes will be used to the darkness, and she will see better than the others. Look at this picture closely and try to figure out who's from the future. Well, I'm pretty sure there was no flashlights in the Stone Age, so it has to be this guy here. Down in the Sea Kingdom, Stacy met Neptune. He was sitting on his throne, surrounded by 3 mermaids. Neptune asked Stacy to return the pearl necklace to his wife, who had recently lost it. Luke happened to have found the necklace on the shore. Can you guess which mermaid is Neptune's wife, so Luke can give it back to her? It's the third one. She's the only one who's wearing an engagement ring. Lisa was a famous top model. She was found unconscious in her dressing room during a photo shoot and taken to a hospital. Doctors said she had a severe allergic reaction, but when Lisa came to her senses, she insisted she hadn't eaten anything all day. The model's manager was very concerned and interrogated everyone who'd been around. Lisa's stylist said that she had applied Lisa's makeup and indeed hadn't seen her eat anything. The cleaning lady said she had cleaned the dressing room with organic, non-allergenic products. Lisa's main rival, Nora, said that she'd been watching the shooting all day long. She hadn't noticed anything suspicious. Who's the culprit? It was the stylist. Lipstick was the only thing Lisa could have swallowed that day. In the middle of the night, Dennis woke up because of a loud crash. One of the kids must have been out, but they know they aren't allowed to leave at night. The man went to check on the children. All 3 of them, Catherine, Ruth, and Larry, seemed to be sleeping peacefully. Look at the kids and try to figure out who sneaked out of the house. It was Ruth. There's a dirty sneaker hidden behind the curtain and several pieces of French fries under her bed. Brenda was traveling by train. It was scorching hot in the carriage. The girl took off her gold bracelet decorated with diamonds and put it on the table in front of her. Several minutes later, the train entered a tunnel, and it got pitch dark. When the tunnel was left behind, there was no bracelet on the table. Brenda was shocked. "Someone's taken my bracelet!" There were just 3 other people in the compartment. Helen said she'd been sleeping. Rachel was reading a book on her phone, and Gregory had gone to the bathroom even before the train entered the tunnel. Who took the bracelet? It was Helen. At first, she had her sleeves rolled up, but now they're covering her arms down to the wrists, hiding the bracelet. Sarah bought some ice cream on Saturday, but kept the flavors in secret. When she woke up on Sunday, all the ice cream was gone. She asked everyone in the house if they knew anything about it. James answered he had gone to work early that morning and hadn't seen anything. Mary said she wanted to have the new caramel ice cream in the afternoon. She felt bad she was going to miss it. John didn't even know there was ice cream in the house, but he was looking forward to trying it. Can you figure out who knows something? It's Mary. The ice cream flavors were a secret. She couldn't be sure there was a caramel taste among them. Can you tell who's a real mermaid here? The second one is a guy, so he definitely isn't a mermaid. The girl on the right is chilling in the sun, and she's out of the water. Mermaids wouldn't do that because they dry out in the sun. So the real mermaid must be the one on the left. There were some thefts at the supermarket. There were 3 cases in total, in January, April, and June. The security camera recorded these videos. The security officer tried to have a closer look and suddenly noticed one detail. After that, the identity of the thief became clear. What did he notice? It was the pregnant woman. The attentive security officer noticed that in January, she looked about 6 to 7 months pregnant. In June, she looked the same. Seems like it's the mysterious case of the baby bump that was really a canned ham. One day, a thief decided to rob the local bank. He came up with a brilliant plan to dress up as one of the bank tellers and try to sneak into the vault. As he was approaching the vault, he saw a security guard standing right in front of the door. The robber hadn't anticipated this, so he hid and watched the guard carefully when one of the actual bank tellers walked up to the door. The security guard said 12. The worker answered 6 and got in. Then another teller came up to the vault. When the security guard said 6, the person answered 3 and was granted access. The thief nonchalantly walked up to the security guard when the guard said 10. The robber confidently answered 5. He was arrested immediately. So why was the thief's answer wrong, and what could he have answered instead? The response has to do with the number of letters in the word. 12 has 6 letters, so the answer is 6. 6, in turn, has 3 letters, so the answer is 3. Well, you can see by now that the robber should have said 3. Looks like he wasn't as brilliant as he thought.
5 people wake up in a huge hall. None of them remember who they are or how they got here. They see a giant closed door. The people look around the room and notice something strange. What is it? These statuettes. They are hidden all over the room. There are 5 people in the room, but they find 6 statuettes.
This must be the key,
One man says.
We need to find out which of the statuettes is the odd one.
Can you guess which one? This one. Its eyes are different from those of the others. The people try to use the odd statuette as a key.
Come on!
And it works! The door opens, and everyone enters the next room. But when the man who suggested using the statuettes looks around, he sees that he is alone in there. Suddenly, a ghost of a woman appears in front of him. If you want to get out, each of you must solve my riddles, she says. But you will definitely fail. She disappears. The man looks around the room. He finds a strange symbol and a cipher decoder on the table. Can you find 9 other symbols? These are all 10 symbols. The man begins to unravel the message using a decoder. Can you decipher it? It says page 52. The man opens the book lying on the table. On page 52, there's a riddle written in an ancient language. If you have me, you want to share me. If you share me, you haven't got me. What am I? The man immediately guesses the answer. Can you? It's a secret. The man is surprised that he was able to read the riddle written in an ancient language. The answer is the password to the door. He types it in, and the door opens. Suddenly, he remembers. His name is Thomas. He's a linguist and a cryptographer. Meanwhile, in another room, a young man finds himself in a beautiful place full of plants. There are 3 flowers on the table. They giggle maliciously. The sign in front of them reads, "Lying Flowers." The first flower says, "You'll never get out of here, and you'll never get rid of us. Just give up already." The second one says,
I don't remember how you can get rid of us. It was either cutting or uprooting us.
The third one says,
Uprooting and plucking us are both proper ways.
What should the guy do? Cut the flowers, uproot them, or pluck them? Pluck is the correct answer. These flowers only tell lies, so the conclusions we can draw from their words are these. 1. There is a way to get rid of them. 2. It is neither cutting nor uprooting. 3. And there's only one way to remove them. The only thing that remains is plucking. The guy plucks the flowers. He notices that glowing letters appear on their petals. The letters need to be put together to get the answer. What is it? The word is basket. The guy examines the basket and finds a folded note at the bottom. He unfolds it and reads this riddle. In a pond, there are some flowers with bees hovering over them. How many flowers and bees are there if both of the following statements are true? 1. If each bee lands on a flower, one bee won't get a flower. 2. If every 2 bees share a flower, there is 1 extra flower. Can you help the guy crack this riddle? There are 4 bees and 3 flowers. Suddenly, a sunflower bud appears on the table. The guy uses it as a key to the door, and it opens. And then he remembers. His name is John, and he's a gardener. In another room, a girl finds herself surrounded by beautiful crystals and gemstones. On the wall, there's a board with the names and pictures of different gems. Some of the gems are the answers to these riddles. 1. Did you know that the queens and the kings of all times really enjoyed that pretty purple color of mine? 2. My name is like water. I'm as blue as the sea. Can you guess what I am and which picture is me? 3. Hey, I am from water as well. I'm seen in strings and found inside a shell. 4. You know me so well. Come on, be excited. I created the city where a wizard resided. 5. I sound like danger, but please don't be scared. I'm striped like a cat and named after its stare. Can you match the riddles and the gems? The correct answers are 1. Amethyst, 2. Aquamarine, 3. Pearl, 4. Emerald, and 5. Tiger's eye. The girl hears some noise and notices that the box on the table has opened. She comes up to the box and reads the next riddle. The queen went to the king to complain about her lady-in-waiting. In the morning, the queen put her amethyst necklace in a jewelry box to protect it from sunlight. No wonder, this stone tends to fade in the sun. She spent the day in the library reading books. At one point, she looked out of the window and noticed her lady-in-waiting. She was sitting in the garden, wearing the queen's necklace. The lady-in-waiting began crying and said this was not true. She would never steal from the queen. The king opened the jewelry box and found out that the necklace was still inside. Who is lying? The girl soon realizes that the lady-in-waiting is the liar. Have you noticed that the amethyst is now much dimmer than before? That means that the lady-in-waiting really wore the necklace outside. The girl solves the riddle. 3 gemstones appear at the bottom of the jewelry box: citrine, garnet, and alexandrite. There's also a note that says, "Figure out the weight of each stone without using scales. This riddle will help you." Can you figure out the weight of each stone? The citrine weighs 10 ounces, the garnet weighs 4 ounces, and the alexandrite weighs 2 ounces. Suddenly, the girl remembers. Her name is Melissa. She is a jeweler and collects crystals. In another room, a woman finds 6 glasses on the table. 3 of them are empty, and 3 are full of water. The woman sees a note. Move only 1 glass to make a row of alternately full and empty glasses. How can she do it? She should take the 5th glass and pour the water into the second one. Suddenly, the glasses disappear. Instead, 2 sets of different ingredients and a note appear on the table. The note says, "Find 3 differences." Can you spot all of them? These are the differences. The woman takes the ingredients and throws them into a cauldron, but something is missing. Shiny and beautiful, a werewolf's fear. We need to get more of it for our precious queen. Coins and mirrors, trays and tea sets, the nobles were buying while falling in debts. It's silver. The woman adds some silver and gets a potion that can melt the lock. When she opens the door, she remembers. Her name is Lauren, and she's a chemist. An elderly woman finds herself in this room. She spots 4 photos on the table. All the photos seem to be taken in different periods of time. The note says, "Is there a person who is present in every photo?" Can you help the woman figure it out? Here she is. Despite the signs of aging, you can see that this is the same woman. Look, she has this mole above her lip. A mirror appears in front of the elderly woman. Wait, is that her? The woman from the photos? The mirror shows her with a guy in a suit. He looks confused. There's a maid on the left and a bride on the right. "Don't listen to her. I'm your wife," says the bride. "You're lying. I'm his wife," the maid cries. Can you guess who is lying? The girl on the left is his wife because she has a wedding ring on her finger. Wait, she also has the same mole above her lip. Is this our elderly woman when she was young? The letters appear in the mirror. IVTCBOE. What does that mean? I'll give you a hint. Try to think outside the box. It's husband. Each letter in this word is replaced by the next letter in the alphabet. And suddenly, the woman remembers. Her name is Brienne. She's a witch, and this is her castle. Brienne opens the door. Everyone else has already gathered outside. "I'm your mother," she says. "We know," Thomas replies. "Another witch tried to steal our father. She erased our memories and put a spell on him. I deciphered the recipe for the potion that can help him remember, but I'll need your help." There is a large cauldron in the hall. Everyone uses their knowledge to prepare the potion. Now Brienne must cast a spell. Solve the puzzle to find out the magic word. It's Memoria. The potion is ready. Suddenly, 3 doors appear in front of the family. Behind the first door, there's a hot desert, but there are some fruits on the trees growing there. The second door opens to the middle of the sea. Behind the third door, there's an endless forest. What should the family do? They should use the trees to make a raft and pick up the fruits so that they don't starve. Now they can cross the sea. Meanwhile, Brienne uses a spell to chain the witch. Solve another puzzle to learn the spell she uses. It's Sigillum. Now the witch won't bother them anymore. The family leaves the castle and lives happily ever after.
Ashley is a stewardess. She finds this cute puppy running around in the airport. 3 people come over and claim to be its owner. Can you guess who's telling the truth? This guy. His tattoo matches the dog's name. Ashley walks to her flight gate and passes by this waiting area. But then the gate changes, so she has to walk through that place once again. Ashley spots 10 differences. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley is checking passengers' passports before letting people on board. Suddenly, the security service calls her with a warning. One of the passengers is using a fake ID. Ashley finds 3 suspects. Can you spot the fake passport out? There's no February 31st, so this passport is definitely fake. Finally, the plane is taking off. Ashley takes a look at the passengers and spots 3 odd things. Can you see them too? This lady has 2 safety belts. This guy is talking on the phone. It should be put in airplane mode. And the view behind this window doesn't match reality. There's no hot lunch on this flight, but you can buy it additionally. The price for chicken is set at $15, and the beef costs $12. Can you guess the price of a fish lunch? The cost of one vowel is $5, and the cost of a consonant, $1. Fish has 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it costs $8. One of the passengers, Josh, calls Ashley. He begins to complain. Someone had stolen my phone when I was in the toilet. Ashley questions 3 people sitting nearby. What happened when Josh was away? Chelsea says, sorry, I was watching a movie, so I didn't look around at all. Bobby says, I was reading a book, but I think I heard the sound of a rustled plastic bag. And Nina says, I was sleeping. You woke me up with your stupid questions. Who stole the phone? Nobody. It's still in Jeff's pocket. Ashley checks the business class passengers and spots 1 witch among them. Can you see her too? This lady is hiding a magic wand. Ashley lands in a foreign country and sends her boyfriend this message. Can you guess what country she's in? Singapore. Ashley goes to her hotel by train. She sees these 2 billboards on the way. She can't decide if they're identical. Can you spot any differences? In fact, there are 5 differences. Ashley goes to the local restaurant. There's an open kitchen, and she can see the chef at work. Ashley makes an order and leaves for the ladies' room for a while. When she returns, she spots 10 differences in the kitchen. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley sees a group of office workers having lunch together. Suddenly, their boss spills hot coffee on his laptop because his palm is stuck to his mug. One of these 3 co-workers prank their boss. Can you guess who? It's the lady in the middle. She's wearing double-sided tape as a bracelet. Suddenly, one of the guests in the restaurant faints. The manager calls an ambulance. The doctors arrive very quickly and take him to the hospital. The police question witnesses. The cook says, "This guy didn't order any food. He just asked for a glass of water." The waitress says, "He looked so gloomy. I decided to cheer him up and served his water in a silver glass." The manager says, "He called us in advance to reserve a table in the corner. He insisted that I must send him an official invitation." And the cleaner says, "I saw him washing hands in the restroom. I swear he didn't have any reflection." Can you guess what happened here? The guest was a vampire, and he got sick because of the silver. Ashley is visiting the local farmer's market. A group of tourists asks her to take their pictures. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This lady. She's eating a pomegranate with the peel. Ashley wants to chill at this beautiful beach, but she sees a zombie among the guests. Can you spot it too? It's this guy who's reading a book upside down. Ashley goes hiking and gets lost. She finds a sign that shows 3 possible ways out. Unfortunately, each path hides some danger. There's a toxic marsh that swallows people on the first path. The second path is a hunting place for vampires. And the third path holds thousands of venomous snakes. Which way is more or less safe? Ashley should choose the second path. Vampires only hunt at night. Ashley, Nellie, Sarah, and Melissa are coworkers and friends. They land in Paris and come to a party together. But at a certain point, they find out that Ashley had disappeared. She was locked in the basement of the music hall. Can you guess who did it? It was Melissa. Pink sequins from her fancy dress lay by the door. Ashley receives this rebus from her boss. Can you guess which country is her next destination? She's going to Belgium. Ashley is packing her bags for the trip. How many emojis can you see here? Here they are. Ashley is having breakfast at the airport. Can you find any emojis in this food? There are 3, actually. In the waiting area, Ashley meets her old school friend, Kelly. They go to the local coffee shop to chat. Suddenly, Kelly begins to yell, "Please help me! My suitcase is gone!" Ashley questions 3 witnesses. One of the passengers, Paul, says, "This is my suitcase. I've already wrapped it in plastic to protect it from scratches." Nina says, "I went to the restroom and asked the barista to look after my luggage." And the barista says, "I looked after Nina's luggage and I didn't look around. Sorry." Can you figure out the thief? It's Paul. There's a sticker with Kelly's name under the plastic. Ashley enters the plane. There's an imposter among the flight crew. Can you help Ashley find this person? It's this stewardess. Take a look at her uniform. The air company logo is a little different compared to all the others. Ashley lands in Brussels. She walks into the local park and takes 2 pictures. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. A motorbike rider asks Ashley to take his picture. She takes 2. Are they identical? There are 3 differences, actually. In the hotel, Ashley meets an opera diva, Esmeralda, who's having a world tour. She has visited almost all the countries, and she has finally arrived at the last one.
Oh, no.
In the morning, a maid finds Esmeralda unconscious in her room. The police arrive and find out that Esmeralda was poisoned. They question the suspects. Esmeralda's husband says, "She wanted to be in bed early, so I went to the lobby for the night." Esmeralda's manager says, "I was in my room all evening. I was preparing for the concert." And the hotel waitress says, "I only brought her juice in the evening. She was fine." The police check fingerprints in the room and find many prints on the glass. Who poisoned Esmeralda? It was the manager. She said she didn't leave the room, but there are prints on the glass. In the morning, Ashley is having her next flight, but her taxi breaks on the way. She's stuck at the gas station 50 miles away from the airport. 3 drivers stop, offering to give Ashley a ride. Which car would you choose? The first car is stolen. And the 3rd driver is a runaway criminal, so Ashley should choose the 2nd car. Ashley returns home and puts all her cash into her stash as usual. The next evening, she returns home and realizes that someone had stolen her money. How did she guess? Ashley's cash was in the globe. Its parts don't match anymore. Somebody opened it when Ashley was out.